Canon shooters with RF-S cameras like an R7, R10, R50, R100. This is the kind of image quality you get with your kit lens. I want you to notice the amount of grain, the amount of noise in the image, but also how sharp that map in the background is. I have something better for you. Now I'm shooting with the Sigma 18-50 f2.8 lens. That f2.8 is the important part here. That means it's gathering more than 5 times more light than your kit lens. That means the image is much cleaner. There's less noise, right? It also means that the background there is blurrier. That's what we call subject separation. It's such a key compositional element that aperture is the biggest thing that separates consumer grade lenses from professional grade lenses. And the f2.8 in this lens means you can really produce professional grade results that separate your subject from the background. Because without it, it kind of looks like a smartphone. Better here or better here.
Look at these side-by-side portraits. On the left, the kit lens produced a little background blur, but everything is still pretty sharp and quite a bit of the background is included and it's distracting from the subject here. The Sigma lens is a little bit longer, so it shows less of the background, and the background that is there is much blurrier because of the faster aperture. That creates subject separation that keeps your eyes focused on the model here. Now that you've seen like the huge difference it makes in your image quality, let's take a look at this lens itself. This is the Sigma 18-50 f2.8. It's a zoom lens for APS-C Canon cameras, though we've previously reviewed the Fuji version, so you can check that out. I think they also have a Sony version, but it's also kind of historic because it's the very first third-party lens for any Canon RF camera. When Canon launched their RF mount, they very quietly blocked third parties from using it. And as a result, their RF-S cameras, they've gotten rave reviews from us, but they didn't have any lenses available, and that held us back from broadly recommending them except to people who only plan to use the kit lens. But as you saw, the kit lens isn't that great. We need options for good lenses. When people get into photography, they want to upgrade. And now Sigma is providing that. And this is kind of the perfect lens for that. It's still a zoom, so it's still versatile. But going from f6.3 on your Canon kit lens to f2.8, well, you saw the results. It lets you blur the background. It produces really clean images. That's important because so often I hear from people who get a new camera and then they say, oh, but the pictures from my phone, they look pretty good. I don't see a big difference. It's really not the camera's fault. It's the lens's fault. The kit lens is not that good. To put this into perspective, this lens gathers 5.6 times more light than this lens. If you were to upgrade to one of Canon's full-frame cameras, like a $3,000 Canon R5, that would only get you a 2.6 times improvement in total light gathering ability. So this is better than getting an entire new camera. It's a good investment, and if the price seems high compared to your camera body, keep in mind that photographers tend to spend way more on their lenses than their camera bodies. God knows I have. To test the sharpness of the lens, I'm going to bring it into our studio where I have a test scene set up here. I'll lock my Canon R7 off on a tripod and then set it to a delayed shutter. And what I found was the Sigma lens is just about the same sharpness as the kit lens when they're shut down to the same aperture, which surprised me a little bit. I kind of had higher hopes for it. Nonetheless, at 18 millimeters, at 45 millimeters, you can expect about the same amount of sharpness. If you open the Sigma lens up to f2.8, it does become a little less sharp. So it benefits from shutting it down a little bit, but you at least have the option to open it up, which will improve the image quality in low light conditions and give you more background blur. The Sigma lens does have a drawback in that it's not stabilized. And that doesn't mean anything to you if you're using the Canon R7 like I am here, because I found that the Canon R7 stabilization was pretty much the same as the kit lens, which is optically stabilized by just taking lots and lots of pictures of this map behind me. But if you're shooting with an R10, an R100, an R50, or any of the Canon cameras that don't have a stabilized sensor, you're going to have to watch your shutter speed. You want to be over like 1/75th of a second when you're shooting at the telephoto end, or maybe like 1/30th of a second when you're shooting at the wide end. That's not a big deal. The camera will do that for you automatically. But if you were shooting stationary subjects in low light conditions, the kit lens would provide better image quality for you than this lens could. But if you're shooting moving subjects like people in low light conditions, the faster aperture of the Sigma lens will produce better results than the kit lens, even without the stabilization. It's also important to note that with video, it'll get a little bit shaky. Let me switch cameras. This is me filming handheld with the Canon kit lens, which is optically stabilized. You can see as I move around, it's pretty smooth. It's definitely tolerable, but let's switch to the Sigma. This is the Sigma on an unstabilized Canon camera, and you can see the motions are a little harsh. As I walk around, they're jarring. They move rapidly and unsmoothly, and it could be a little nauseating if you watched it for long. So if you do plan to do some kind of handheld video, either get an R7, which has a stabilization built into it, or use your kit lens because that's stabilized, or put it on a tripod because of course that solves all the stabilization problems. In summary, I think this lens is a no-brainer for anybody shooting with a Canon APS-C camera like an R7, an R10, an R50, R100, because it really produces the images you probably expected to get, because the kit lenses that Canon has now aren't great, and they don't have any other higher grade lenses designed for their APS-C platform. Right now it's only this one lens. But this lens is the lens I would have picked. It's small, it's light, it's compact, it's pretty inexpensive, it matches your APS-C camera perfectly, and the results you get are gonna be significantly better. There's no better way to spend your money. Don't upgrade to a new camera body until you've tried this out. For more camera reviews, unbiased, not sponsored by the manufacturers, subscribe, help support us. Also, if you want to actually learn photography, head to northrup.photo or Amazon and check out our award-winning book, Stunning Digital Photography. It's the best-selling photography book of the last 20 years because it includes hands-on practices, 20 hours of video, broken into little short 5-minute videos. You just watch the ones you want for the topics you're interested in, jump around, learn at your own pace, and that also will do a lot to improve your photography. Thanks for watching. Bye.